Hello, everybody. My name is Christian. I'm the host of the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur Show. And I know I say this at every episode. You guys need to meet today's person. So if you have a thought of having somebody who is fostering people in positivity, who is inclusive in the kitchen culture, and you guys gonna find out about her because she drives culinary excellence. So we gotta be right with you after this. And hello again, my name is Christian. I'm the host of the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur Show. And you guys gonna love today's guest as much as I do because
Mm.
she is an award-winning chef. She did an amazing, background on what she did in the kitchen. She has a unique journey in the culinary world where she and her career, where she is focusing on creativity and innovation in the kitchen. As I said,
Mm.
she's fostering positive and inclusive cultures in all of her kitchen, and she can drive culinary excellence. So with that, I want you to meet Miss Liana Robberecht. How are you?
Oh, thank you, thank you. And you know what also is amazing? You actually said my name perfectly. Usually I set people up on how to say my name because I always say like, how do you say your name? I'm like, Liana, Rob wrecked the car. Rob wrecked.
So,
So I didn't
first
even
of
have
all,
to coach you to do that. That's amazing.
so first off, I'm super excited to have you be part of this, and
Thank you.
you are first guest of 2025. So happy New Year! And so
Yay.
I'm really excited about that. So I'm fascinated with all of the stuff you did. So give our listeners the 2 minute cliff note who you are and how you came to
Mm.
be.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank my parents for how I came to be. So, I mean, they literally gave me life, that that actual first breath. So, thank you to them. But yeah, I'd like to say that I've always been really my passion's always been cooking.
Mhm.
My mom actually said like when I was small, I would pull the chair to the counter and start demanding to create things. So that's actually how it started. That's I didn't even fabricate that story. That's a true story. And yeah, and then
I love
from
that.
finger painting and creating things, it evolved into cooking. So I first went to culinary school, and then I went into apprenticeship, and I loved it so much that I incorporated art because that's also my love. So
Yeah.
I took two-dimensional art, three-dimensional art, sculpture, and design, and incorporated those fundamentals just for plating and so I can visualize. So that's kind of I'm haunted
I love
by
that.
those things and bringing those kind of food art and everything together to the plate. So that's kind of what I do.
And I love your story, and we encourage our listeners to kind of dive a little bit deeper into what you do because as we
Hmm.
started diving into, we were like, oh wow, and truth be told, I have a whole things to note here for
Uh,
her, and for me, I was like, oh wow, oh my god, she asked people to build and root passion and
yeah.
resilience and all the stuff you do. So for me, I'm super fascinated in your career, and I love what you do because first of all, I'm a big advocate. We need more females in our
Yeah.
industry, and I think we have way too few.
Yeah.
Way too. We need a lot more. So talk to me a little bit.
About
How
that
did you
journey?
yeah, about that journey.
Okay,
How
well, let's, get back in that DeLorean and dial it back to all those years. And because when I started out, there was literally, when I went to school, there was like in my class, there was literally three women. And I'm probably out of those three women in my class, I'm probably still the only one that's still involved in that.
yeah,
Um, so unfortunately, when I was, coming up through culinary, I did not have the best experiences. So not having those best experience and then having all those weight and all those obstacles and a lot of sabotage and all those toxicities, I, had all those horrible stories that you hear. I actually physically and mentally went through those, and I kind of made, kind of promised to myself that should I ever become in a position of authority, I was going to actually make that a position of change.
mhm,
And and I had a lot of help from other kind of people, community around me, and that's kind of what I did. I found an association. I found an association called Women Chefs and Restaurateurs, and with
Yeah.
that started really building that community of positive change, and that's kind of how it happened. And you know over the years, and that's kind of like a ripple in the pond. It just kind of really, I sound that sounds kind of cliche, but that's really kind of how it started happening. And that's how it started happening here in Calgary, and then just kind of growing and growing and growing. And just like a smile is really contagious and infectious. Well, that's what happens in that culture. You just start growing and growing, and
I
it happened.
I I love that. And if people dive a little bit deeper in what you do, you
Hmm.
always talk about creativity in the kitchen. So
Yeah,
talk to us a little bit. So you are that advocate for women in the kitchen. So how
yeah.
has your journey what has it been like to doing this? And how can the industry continue improving around that?
Yeah. Well, it's really, it's not easy for sure, but
Yeah.
I really believe that if you have like-mindedness and you give the people the freedom of pulling out their own potentials, and that willingness to think, and kind of like, you know kind of coloring outside the lines, like really,
Hmm.
like, because you're always, I don't know, when I grew up, like my mom literally, like when you're learning how to color, you're kind of forced to, like, if I colored outside of the line, she took it away, and I wasn't allowed to do it until I tried again. So you do need that structure. Like, so I'm hardwired to, like, try again, but you do need some flexibility to grow. So I think
Hmm.
you need to have that kind of, those kind of principles in your kitchen and in life, really. So if you
I
keep doing that, you'll that'll happen.
I love that. I love it. By the way, I can't focus on that picture. What is that picture next to you?
This
To your left.
this
Yeah.
is an octopus, and I painted that.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really awesome. I
Yeah, it's a
absolutely love that, by
massive,
the way.
massive painting, and I painted that, and it just like in plating and food. So I've been painting, since I, like I had mentioned, since finger painting and macaroni kind of things, and that's how I apply
I
plating. And yeah,
I love them. I absolutely gorgeous. So,
yeah,
I need to tell our listeners if they, can see it. If you're not on YouTube, you guys gotta come over to YouTube and watch it. It's absolutely amazing. So
yeah,
you you talk about that. Let's talk a little bit more about creativity in the kitchen,
yeah.
because it's something you kind of talk about all over and over and over again. So, how do
I
you
do.
approach menu development, and how do you inspire your team to stay creative and innovative?
Honestly, it's really, I get asked this question a lot, and I always talk about taking art classes, and it's really about believing in yourself, because
Hmm.
sometimes when when you're drawing, it's about releasing that energy that comes out of your hands. And
Hmm.
it's about, either it's about movement, it's about shaking, it's about releasing. And that's the same thing about cooking and plating. It's about, not just settling on that first plate. It's about redoing and keep going. Sometimes, I have an idea, and I'll keep thinking. Literally, sometimes I have an idea. Like, for example, I had this idea for a dinner, and I had it for 8 years, and until it came to reality.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
So, yeah.
So,
Or you hear a lyric for a song, and I'm like, man, that's a good idea for a collaboration. And that happened. That just happened last November, and I had that idea for 5 years.
that
And
is
then
amazing.
finally the right people came together, and it was really cool, and it just all gelled. But I kept thinking about it and meditating about it, and then it kind of
So
happened.
for me, I love all of that. And obviously, this is not something which you learned. This is something you grew up with. So talk to us a little bit from your parents encouraged that, because we found, as passionate as you are on art and bringing, people together with your food, where did that passion come from?
Well, my father was a musician, and my both my parents just really, they were never parents that said that no, you can't do anything.
Yeah.
They allowed that freedom of expression. I think that's really what it is. And sometimes, if you have those ideas, sometimes I see in other kind of parents, they structure their children. You
Mhm.
have to be at this class and then you're going to that class, and no, you can't go outside and play, and no, you can't do this. And I'm not a parent, but
Yeah.
I see the results of children because I've employed
Mhm.
hundreds and hundreds of children that grew up, and they come in into work and they don't know how to do anything because they've never been allowed to think for themselves. So I
Yeah.
see that. But my
I
parents
love
grew
that.
up and I was allowed to have freedom of thought, and that's how you can think things. That's the difference.
So for me, I absolutely love that. So, um, you're super creative in what you do. So how do you stay motivated? How do you stay engaged in listen, this is a very male driven
Yeah,
industry. So talk to us a little bit
yeah.
about that.
Well, I mean, it is, but I mean, I think it is about just, I have deep rooted love of food and art, obsessiveness, and it's something I can't help myself with. I'm not a chef that's known for a signature dish. I'm a chef that's known for literally creativity and textures and
Mhm.
flavors. That's what I'm known for, and I can't help myself about it.
So by the way, I wish I first of all, if our listeners can't see you because they listen on Apple or any of the other devices, you guys need to come
Yeah,
over to YouTube and check her out. It's absolutely so. For me, I love talking to you because you exuberate that whole creativeness. I absolutely love it. So hopefully our listeners see a little bit more of that. So talk to us a little bit more. So you're an executive chef. So what do you believe is the most important quality of a chef today? Not just by being a leader, but being a role model in the industry.
it thought, free
Hmm.
thought, you
Yeah.
know, and freedom of trying,
Yeah.
and if not, like losing the fear,
Yeah.
because not being afraid of failing. If you have that fear of failure, then you're never going to move forward.
Hmm.
That's what it is, because everyone's so afraid of failure.
Yeah. Yeah. So you make it sound so easy, you know.
It's not easy, but you know what it is? It's like I had that too, because I had someone, says like, "Oh, you do things, you're doing something so easy." I'm like, "That's not easy. I literally been trying. I've been doing that for 30 years. That's not easy."
I
I've been piping that. I've been drawing that. I've been plating that for 30 years. But I
um
also put the work in. I went to school.
yeah,
That building that foundation is critical. Education is critical.
I love that. And for me, education is absolutely number one. But there's more to it. So for you, it seems to comes naturally. And so how do you incorporate the art what you kind of live with and what is within you? And how does it
Yeah,
express itself in your food?
yeah. Well, that's because I'm always. First of all, I have this weird meditation. When I'm thinking about something, I think about color, I think about flavor, I think about texture, I think about the audience. I don't think
Mhm.
about myself. It's about nurturing others. So that's really the gift for others, not myself, because, and I think that's the kind of the problem, not the problem, but I think that's a obstacle sometimes that people have when they're cooking. They're cooking for themselves, but I'm not cooking for myself. It's a gift that
Mhm.
you're in service to others. Like when you're a
Yeah.
chef, you're in service to others, and that's kind of the barrier sometimes people have, right?
I I
You're giving
I love
that
that.
gift to
I love
others.
that. So again, you make it sound so simple. So um as it's not an easy industry for a female because it's a
No,
very male dominated industry. You've been really highly successful. So help us understand what goes on in your mind. What is some of the disruptive things you participate in on a daily basis to be as well, not just well known, but be on the top of the game all the time?
Uh, well, I mean, there's always that things that you gotta work for myself, because the things that is doesn't come easy is that imposter syndrome, that that
Yeah.
you don't belong. I work through that.
Hmm.
And sometimes years keep going on, and I'm just like, holy shit. It's like 30 years later, or like, I don't, well, what happened? Where did that time go? I don't know. It's just like time just keeps going on. But the exciting part is that, we're in this industry of always changing and always evolving, and you learn so many cool things. So because I love and I'm so obsessively passionate about what I'm doing, it's always so exciting. So I don't realize all that time that's gone by. So
I,
that's
I
that's the real joy.
I love that. And I, I honestly feel a lot more chefs need to kind of bring this into the work, into the life, into themselves of what they do, because people went into this industry because they're passionate about it, and it kind of gets
Yeah.
lost a little bit. And for me, looking at the way your career was managed, and then how you kind of worked into this, you've been like this all the time, because we found a video of you, and I don't have it here, but I will make sure I share it with everybody. um, and it must be my 20 years old, and you were the same person as you are now. So for me,
Wow.
you are rooted in passion and resilience. For me, that's hands down, an amazing quality you have. So, what advice would you give to an aspiring chef who wants to lead and inspire other teams?
I think the advice I would give is having that, be authentic to yourself, you
Yeah.
know, because you can only be authentic to yourself, and having that freedom to think. That's
Hmm.
that's the gift to yourself. If you know your audience, and if you're authentic to yourself, and then you kind of keep that joy, I mean, everything else just happens.
I again, you make it sound so easy, and for me, I could talk to you forever. So, but help me understand a little bit. Is
Yeah.
there a daily routine? Is there some? What are you doing on a daily basis to stay on top of it? Because it's not an easy industry, and a lot of people
Yeah.
struggle in it. And so, just help us understand a little bit, and give maybe a tool or two to the chefs listening, because they think, "Oh my God, Chef Liana, I." I don't know how she does it, and it's again, it's not an easy industry to be in, but you constantly, you have that joy, you constantly have that exuberance about you, because I want to eat with you just because I love you, So how how do
You
you
know,
what do you do
I
daily to stay on
I
top of
love
that?
collaborations and community. That's
Mhm.
that's my jam. It my that's my secret of joy is being very collaborative in the community, getting involved in industry. That's the deep rooted passion, is that side by side collaboration.
Mhm.
And that's the joy of not being competitive, being collaborative. That's
Mhm.
what it is. I found
I
out a long
I
time
love
ago,
that.
it's like I'm a highly collaborative, not a
Mhm.
competitive person.
I love that. I'll have this written down. So you be collaborative and not competitive. So, but for
But
me,
I have some of my best friends are they thrive on being competitive, and that's
mhm,
okay too, because that's their fire.
yeah,
And that's
I
that's an awesome quality. I'm competitive with myself.
I love that. So, but how do you manage to stay in balance between operational demands and running a
Yeah.
kitchen, and being as exuberant as you are? So, help our listeners to understand. So, how do you manage to be that creative, and how do you manage being that the boss in the kitchen?
Well, that comes with collaboration, because, you have to really have a good balance of other bosses. So that's
Yeah,
collaboration.
I love
There's
that.
no
I
single,
love
there's
that.
never ever any single boss in any workplace, right?
I love
It's
that.
about collaboration. It's about even
I,
distribute
I, I love this.
distribution.
And
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
yeah, and as you're talking about, I think of people which did that to me. So I absolutely love that. So, can you help share an example of a memorable moment because we kind of going down that road?
Yeah.
Um, Help us understand a little bit of what shaped you of who you are today.
Yeah, I can. I can absolutely. This isn't even in a kitchen. One of my very first jobs while I was going to school is I worked at an association, and my I was trying to I my boss one of my old bosses told me to go and apply for this association, and the
Yeah.
association was to be like an assistant, an executive assistant,
Hmm.
and you had to do all these typing, you had to do all these things, and I had no administrative skills, zero, none, like I zero, absolutely none. And I went and I had the interview, and then at the end of the interview, he's like, "You're hired," and I was like, "I am." He's like, "Absolutely, you can start." I was like, "Okay, well, I have this class schedule, I have this." He's like, "Yeah, you can start." And then I was doing, and I was horrible, like just horrible. And at the end, we had this big mail out. We were doing all these things together, and I was like, "Hey, I want to ask you," we became really good friends. And I was like, "I want to ask you, why did you hire me?" And he's like, "Liana," he says, "I could teach you all those skills, but what I can't teach you is to be an amazing person with a great personality." He says, "And all the members like you, and you remember all their names, and you have this great, kind of like this great warmth." And I was like, "Oh." So and I took that, and that's exactly how I carried when I became in a position of authority. Like I told you, that's exactly how I adopted that, and I that's how I hired people, on my team. It's like all those other things, I can teach you how to cut, I can teach you how to saute, I can teach you how to do all those things, but I can't teach you to come to work on time. I can't teach you to be a nice person. I can't teach you to
Hmm.
be collaborative.
I love that.
So,
And who was that person who interviewed you?
his name was Guy Priddle. Yeah.
And it's amazing. So, how long ago, if you don't mind me asking, it
Oh my
was that?
gosh, that was like I don't even like I was 19,
So
so it was a long
you
time
you
ago.
don't need to share how young you are today. But for
Mm,
me, I want to show to our audience, it doesn't matter if there's somebody who leaves a lasting footprint or somebody who will um, bring you along in this
yeah,
ride for totally unknown reasons.
yeah,
It stays with you forever. We all
yeah,
had that person, and I want our listeners to think of the person who helped you to get
yeah.
to where you are today. And for me, that's super powerful. By the way, I can talk to you forever, but let me ask you one last question, and then I have a little thing we call rapid fire question food
Ooh, I
service
like it.
questions.
Yeah,
If you're up for that, we can play that.
I'm up for
But
it.
so let me ask you, so how do you see the future of the culinary industry evolving? So it's kind of twofold. And
Mm,
how do you see the role of a female chef playing in the future in a culinary industry?
hmm. Where do I think the future of kitchens are going? I
Hmm.
think they're always kind of going to be the same. I think they'll just be a little bit more casual, and I think that the role of the female chef is always going to still keep going.
Hmm.
Uh, Interesting enough, I had an experience not that long ago, like a few months ago, where you think that everything is really greatly evolving and changing. However, I can't tell you how many times that when someone came into the kitchen for maintenance, they went to the first mail and
Hmm.
asked, and I'm like,
Yeah.
so, so yes, things are evolving,
Hmm.
but I would like to say they're not as evolving as much as you think they are.
So and how do you see the female role in that playing moving forward?
I think, I mean, you know what? I think that is depends on the female.
Hmm.
So that's a hard question to ask because it really depends on how the female is, because I've also worked for females that are like grumpy old men. So, so that it's really, that depends on the person, and that
No.
is same as any men. So it really, that's an individual question. That's
Mhm.
not a gender question.
I love that. And as I said this in the beginning, our industry needs more people like you. I love what you do. You need to come south to lower 48s, okay? And kind of
Yeah.
coming a little bit to us. So, um, if any of our listeners want to know more about you, where can they find out more about you?
You can connect with me on Instagram at Chef Liana for sure. You can definitely come to the Terroir Symposium, and
Hmm.
that's like an international symposium that's happening May 4th and 5th here in Calgary, Alberta. We have incredible. That's an industry symposium, and we have an amazing all industry wide symposium happening here in Calgary. So you should definitely check that out, and then you can check that out
Amazing.
online. The tickets are on sale.
Awesome. And we have in the show notes more information about that. So if
Hmm.
you couldn't write it down, and if you're driving currently, please do not pull over. Make sure you come back and find the information on the show notes. So with that, Chef, are you ready to play rapid fire question food service edition?
Yes, I am.
So
Dun, da, da, da,
you
da. Drum roll,
so
drum roll.
So the way this works is I have 25 questions here. I will ask you for a
Okay,
number. You give me a number. I read out the question, and then we ask you to respond as quickly as you can. So
quickly. Okay,
with
all
that,
right.
um, give me a number between 1 and 25. You can use 7.
Oh, dang. Okay, three.
Okay, 3. Is it okay to serve a cocktail in a cereal bowl just to mess with people? Yes or no? And why?
Yes,
And
I would say
why?
yes because it could be a delicious dessert cocktail. It could be a morning cocktail.
That's not what we had in mind with the question, but yes, it
Okay,
counts.
okay.
Okay, give me a number between 1 and 25.
15.
15. Should brunch be served 24/7 or no questions asked? Yes or no, and why?
I say no. I mean,
Why?
that's why, because we have breakfast for dinner already.
I love that. I love that. So, give me a number between 1 and 25.
11.
Ah, 11 is a good old goodie. Pineapple on a pizza, yes or no?
Ah, I'm Canadian, so yes. Hello.
Okay, we have a movement to get the pineapple off the pizza. She has nothing to
I'm
do on
ticketing yes.
the pizza. Okay, give me a number between 1 and 25.
2.
2. Should ramen noodles be legit breakfast food? Yes or no? And why?
I mean, yeah, because I love Japan and I had noodles for breakfast a lot, so yes.
Okay. There's a whole movement to make sure
That's a
we
loophole.
know.
I say yes.
Okay, last number. Give me a number between 1 and 25.
I'm gonna say number 1.
Number 1. Can bacon make literally anything taste better, including ice cream? Yes or no? And why?
No.
Why not?
I say no because I'm like over the whole bacon makes everything better. No. Thumb boo.
Uh,
No.
uh, but bacon
No,
makes
because
everything.
I bacon toothpaste over it. No, come on. You can't put bacon in toothpaste.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for playing a rapid fire question, food service edition. Thank you, Chef. First off, Chef Liana, I need to tell you 2 things. Number 1, thank you for being here today, and thanks for the gift of your time.
Thank
And
you.
second of all, do not, please tell me, do not change who you are. And please keep and spread that joy of yours out there in the food service industry, because we need more people like you. So with that, Chef, I really appreciate you being here. So do you have any final words of wisdom for any of our listeners out there?
I would say just be happy. Be authentic. Do what you want to do. Right?
I love that. And for me, I couldn't agree more. Hey, there's so much stuff happening out there. Be happy. It absolutely makes a difference. in the world. So with
Yeah.
that, until next time, remember to disrupt your kitchen, fire up your career, and stay hungry for change. I'm Christian here with Chef Liana, and we are out of here. So I am the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur. I'm signing off. We are out of here. So with that, be the change, be the challenge, and be the chef who sets the world on fire. So with
Be
that,
creative.
thanks. We really appreciate you. Thanks for being here today. Bon appetit, everybody. Stay disruptive. Thanks, everybody.